Hi, once again, I am still Damilola Adeolodun Ayeni, your chemistry teacher. I am back to explain the third question, which says, how do you explain Schrodinger equation to an SS1 student? And so to start with, who was Edwin Schrodinger? Edwin Schrodinger was a scientist, a mathematical physicist who worked out equation that is used to explain the idea that electrons have some properties of wave as well as those of particle. That is to say, the wave particle duality of electron. And so the equation by Edwin Schrodinger led to the theory called quantum theory, which can be used to predict the behavior of subatomic particles. Quantum mechanics that we can derive from his equation has provided solution to finding the probability of where an electron can be found in a given volume of space called atomic orbital. There are two major important things that Schrodinger equation is able to tell us. One, where the particles might be. That is, where the particles such as electron might be in the atom, in which you can imagine where your pet could be now in your house. And number two question is that how the particles change over time. That is, as you are here, you could imagine your pets appearing and disappearing. And this is able to explain the whole thing. So as to understand the equation very well, we need to know that Schrodinger equation is used to calculate four important quantum numbers. The four quantum numbers which this equation are able to solve include the principal quantum number, often labeled small n, and it's called energy levels. Number two is the subsidiary or azimuthal or angular momentum quantum number, small, often represented with by small l, which is also called subenergy level or orbitals. Then the third quantum number is the magnetic quantum number, often labeled as small m. And the last one, but not the least, is the spin quantum number, often labeled as small ms. And so let's look at the analogy to explain this concept. But before we go to that analogy, we need to understand the fact that the first three of these quantum numbers, that is the primary, the subsidiary, and so the principal, the subsidiary, and the magnetic quantum numbers, were obtained from solving Schrodinger equations, while the last one, the spin, is just obtained from experimental observation. And so the analogy can be likened to comparing this concept with a with a hostel that has many floors. So the principal quantum number therefore represents the floors. That is a form of energy level in which if you fall from one of the floors, you will go to the next down below it. So electrons are found at these different energy levels, just like you have the floors in this hostel. Also, in the same energy level, you have the subsidiary. So on each of the level, we can liken our subsidiary or azimuthal or angular momentum. We can liken it to be the rooms in each level. So, and the rooms being labeled S, P, D, or F respectively for identification. Then the magnetic can be likened to the bedded bunks. That is the two bedded bunks you put in each of the rooms. And that's a magnetic. And finally, the spin quantum number can be likened to the space, the two spaces on the bunk, that is the two beds on the bunk. So let's go ahead and see their value. As calculated, as worked out by from this Schrodinger equation, the four quantum numbers have the following value. The first one, the principal quantum number, small n, called energy level, like we have said, represents the flaws on our hostel, and they are labeled n equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, means first level, 1, second, 2, third, 3, and so on and so forth in infinity. And this is the most important quantum number, where all other ones are able to take their values from. So every other one falls on this principal quantum number, because this one shows which floor or which shell can a particular electron be found at a particular time. Now, the numbers of electrons that can be found at each energy level, they are not the same, but they follow the formula 2n raised to power 2. It means the first energy level can only take maximum of 2 times 1 raised to power 2. That's 2 times 1, which is 2. So first energy level can take maximum of 2 electrons. Second energy level can take 2 by 2 raised to power 2. That's 2 times 4. That's 8. Maximum electron you can find on second energy level is 8. And then the third energy level, when n is equal to 3, the maximum energy therefore you can find on it is 18, since you have 2 times 3 raised to power 2, which is 2 times 9, 18. And the fourth energy level can take maximum of 32, because it is going to have 2 times 4 raised to power 2, which is 2 times 16, 32, and so on and so forth. So we don't have the same number of electrons on all the energy levels, but we can see how we can work out the maximum number of electrons that can be found in each one. So the second one is the subsidiary or angular momentum, often labeled as small n, or azimuthal quantum numbers, also called orbitals. You can liken them to rooms in each level, having the values of 0 for the room you label as 1 for the one you label as P, 2 for the one labeled as D, and F we have 3 respectively. So it means you have to put the students in the rooms. And so the L has the orbitals SPDF and F respectively. So both theory and experiment have shown that L to have for they show that for L to have the value of maximum of S, P can take maximum of 6, S can take maximum of 2, P can take maximum of 6, and D can occupy maximum of 10, and F can take maximum of 14 respectively. And we need to know that the number of orbitals or the type of orbitals found on a particular energy level still depend on the principal quantum number. As you see that the principal quantum number will dictate how much of the SPDF that are to be found on each energy level. So it means that not all energy levels have all the 4 orbitals. So depending on what the principal quantum number says on that level. And at the same time, we need to understand the fact that also P is built, even though on the same energy level, a little bit higher than that of S. And D is built a little bit higher than that of P, as well as F built a little bit higher than D. And hence, sometimes some of these orbitals can overlap from their energy levels, can overlap from their expected energy levels into another energy or level, that is higher energy level above them. So let's try and see how much of the energies, let's see how much of the orbitals can be found at each energy level. So for instance, when n is equal to 1, the principal quantum number, which can take only two electrons on that shell. So it means that only s orbital is found there, because s can take maximum of two, and once the two are distributed there's no need of further orbital. So s orbital can only be s orbital is the only orbital that can be found on the first energy level. Whereas when n is equal to 2, it can take maximum of 8. So it means that we can have s orbital, we can also have p orbital. That is 2 plus 6 will give us 8. So we don't have more than s and p orbital on energy level 2. The energy level 3 that can take maximum of 18, we can have s orbital to take 2, p orbital will take 6, and d orbital will take 10, summing up to 18. So can have SP and D there only. Then the fourth energy level that can take maximum of 32, you can have 2 S2, 2 for S, 6 for P, 10 for D, and 14 for F. So the fourth energy level has the whole 4 orbitals. And like I said, everything depends on the principal quantum numbers. So we look at the third quantum number, which is the magnetic quantum number, likened to be the two beds or two bedded bunks in the rooms, and they are labeled in such a way that they have integral value varying from minus L to plus L. It means including 0. It means if you start from -1, you end up with -1. If you start with -2, you end up with +2. But there must be 0 there. And this is due to the fact that since electrons move in circular paths, they will have angular momentum, and at the same time, they'll be able to develop some magnetic field and electrical field along the line to be able to have the positive and the negative side. And so we see how many of this magnetic we have in each of the orbitals. So in each of the rooms, if it is a room that has s orbital that can take maximum of 2 students, you remember you have only one bunk. So there is only one magnetic quantum number. And because it's only one, we start with 0. Whereas whenever you have p orbital that has 3 magnetic quantum number, due to the fact that it can take up to 6 students or 6 electrons. So 3 bonds are needed. Therefore, you have 3 quantum numbers, and they are labeled -1, 0, and +1. Or you can still call them Px, Py, Pz, with each of them taking up to 2 electrons each. Then when you have d orbitals, we are going to talk about 5 magnetic quantum numbers, since they can take up to 10 electrons and they are to be paired. So we have 5 bunks like that in that room, and the 5 quantum numbers are labeled from -2 to -1 to 0 to +1 and to +2 respectively. And then last but not the least, there f orbital that can take maximum of 14 electrons. That's 14 students in that room. We need 7 bunks. So it has 7 magnetic quantum numbers labeled from -3 to -2 to -1 to 0 to +1 to +2 and then to +3. And the last but not the least, which is the spin quantum number. Just as the students occupying the beds, occupying each bunk, 2 students occupying each bunk, 1 up, 1 down. So also each magnetic are 2 electrons, which must not face each the same direction. They must not face the same direction at the same time, but opposite in their direction. Hence, it gives the value of plus and minus half. So if one is facing up, the other one will be what? Will be coming down. And so you have plus half and then minus half respectively. And that's how the four quantum numbers can be explained. Let's look at the shape of orbitals. S orbital has a circular shape, a round shape, and p orbital has dumbbell. But because there are six and there are three magnetic, so we have the px, we have the py, we have the pz, which are arranged horizontally, vertically, and also the three of them arranged in three-dimensional form to have three-dimension orientation. And we can summarize them in this diagram where you see the px is horizontal, py vertical, and pz going and coming to be at 90 degrees with them. And so in summary, the four quantum numbers can be explained as n. You can see the diagram. N is equal to 1 when you have maximum of 2 electrons. N when it's equal to 2, maximum of 8 electrons. When n is equal to 3, maximum of 18 electron, and when it is equal to 4, maximum of 32 electron. And by the time you go to the next level, which is this is a principal quantum number or energy level. And by the time you go to the second energy quantum level, which is the azimuthal, you have the S, 1s having only 2 electrons, 2s 2, 2p has 6, 3s has 2, 3p 6, 4d has 10. So you can take up to that. And you will notice that even though 4s is 2, it's still lower than 3d because of the elevation of each of the orbitals. Already we have explained that. And then you can have 4p 6, 4d 10, and 4f 14, and so on and so forth. Then when it comes to magnetic, you have 5 for all the d, 5 orbital, 5 different magnetic quantum number, with each of them 2, 2, 2, 2. If you have to draw the one of f, we need 7. Then all the p's, you can see that they have 3 each, and the one of s have 1 each. And then you have the final one, the spin, plus or minus half all through. And that is the end of 4 quantum number, and that's how we explain Schrodinger equation to an SS1 student. So till another lesson, this is the end. See you in another interesting one. For now, say goodbye.